Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I want to talk about something that's been in the media a lot lately, and I've been getting a lot of questions about both via email and in my live chats that I do nightly. Just reminding everyone, if you want to come to one of our live chats, they're nightly, so show up if you'd like. What I want to talk about is the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse has fled bond. You know, he's run off in the night, skipped bail, all this stuff people are talking about. Well, that is a complete misrepresentation of what is actually going on. Kyle Rittenhouse did not disappear in the middle of the night. He didn't skip bond. He's not on the lam. None of these things are happening. Now, keep in mind, what I'm talking about here, what I'm going to say, is in no way me condoning anything that's going on or condoning anything Kyle did. I think he was a kid. I've said this many times, who got caught up in a situation that was beyond him, and then he got put in a situation where he had to defend himself, but he should have never been there, and I blame the people around him that put him in that situation. But that's not what this video is about. Like I say, it's about him skipping out on bail. I read several stories before I actually saw it on the news, and some of the titles of the stories were like, Kyle Rittenhouse disappears, Kyle Rittenhouse skips out on bond, ? Things like that. And I was like, wow, that would be a stupid thing to do. What's this 18-year-old kid going to do? Go live in Mexico the rest of his life under an assumed identity? What's he going to do? Well, some people even thought, well, maybe he took all that money they raised via GoFundMe and just disappeared into the night. Which you could probably live in Mexico the rest of his life on that, but that's not what happened. All that's happened is, immediately after he got representation, posted his bond, etc., he started receiving death threats. Now, death threats are not that uncommon. I've had a few of them. I'm sure most YouTubers that have any number of subs whatsoever have received a death threat or two. I've received some very interesting mail in my life. But he started receiving death threats. Now, normally I would say it's not a big deal. It's just people being loudmouths. But I think a lot of people would probably try to hurt him. There's a lot of Antifa people out there that for some reason see this poor kid who got in a bad situation and defended himself. Whether you want to say he put himself in that situation or not, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have been in that situation, but I blame, like I said, the adults with him more than I do him. But there's a lot of people out there, maybe Antifa, that would want to do him harm. So his lawyer moved him to a safe house after he got out on bail, just for his own safety. Now, the lawyer, who is a pretty notorious scumbag, known for stealing money from like GoFundMe accounts, stuff like that have been set up for people he's defending. And he's got a history of financial problems, so he probably shouldn't be, controlling a big pot of money. But he said he didn't give the address to the district attorney's office when he moved Kyle because a police officer, a captain in the police department, told him not to because it'd be unsafe. Well, it turns out he totally lied about that because the guy he said, Captain Wobble-Blah, wasn't a captain at that time and was also on leave the whole time that he was ever in contact with the police department. So he never ran into that guy once the whole time he was there. So he made all that shit up, and he only gave a name after he was pressed by the court. But that's beside the point. He moved Kyle Rittenhouse to I'm getting long-winded here, and I'm trying to get these videos shorter. He moved Kyle Rittenhouse to a safe house. He didn't tell the court. The court says, well, we want to know. He then said, well, I'll tell you if you seal the records. They said, no, we are not sealing the records. It's public record since it is part of this case. And he said, well, then I'm not telling you, or he just didn't tell them. And now they don't know what Kyle Rittenhouse's actual address is. It's not like he's disappeared into the night. No one knows where he is. I'm sure the court even actually knows where he's at. I'm sure the court could have him show up anytime they wanted to. If they said, we want him to appear tomorrow to make sure he's not gone, I think they feel fully confident that he would appear and let him know he's not gone. His attorney just never turned over the address of the safe house. That's all it was. The media tried to make it out to be something way bigger than it actually is. Surprise, surprise. Because you gotta get ratings. And mostly it was print media. I didn't see it a lot in the news media. I saw like passing mentions of it, but there were story after story in print media about it. And they all kind of, if you had just read the titles and maybe the first paragraph of the story, you'd have thought Kyle Rittenhouse fled into the night. That is not the case. Kyle Rittenhouse is still where he's supposed to be. He's where he's been the whole time. The court just doesn't have a definite address, or at least they didn't as of the time those stories were written. Nothing really nefarious. It was just to protect his safety. Basically, that's what his lawyer says anyway. And I can understand that it was to protect his safety. So he is going to still stand trial. He hasn't fled. There's people getting up, all up in arms about this, and there's no reason to. Just don't listen to the media without going and checking out what's really going on. Because like I said, they love to exaggerate things. And in this case, this was a big exaggeration. All right, now with that said, I want to move on to what I think everyone out there knows is my favorite part of the show, gun talk. And today I want to talk about an aspect of choosing your EDC that often gets overlooked. It's one of the most important things about choosing your carry gun. But like I said, most people don't even think about it. And what it is it's matching your gun to your car. I think most people know that up until recently, I've been driving a Dodge Challenger. Now, this Dodge Challenger was kind of a zombie green color. It's called Sublime Green by Dodge, but it's a very zombie green color. So, of course, I did it in a Resident Evil theme, one of my favorite movies that have zombies and monsters and stuff in it. And since I did that, and since my car was in a Resident Evil zombie theme, I needed a gun to go with it. Which is why I carry this, my Langdon Tactical Beretta Elite LTT. Well, it's not why I carry this gun. I carry this gun because it's one of my favorite guns. It's definitely my favorite Beretta. It might even be my favorite gun that I own as far as self-defense guns. I carry it because it's a great gun, but I carry it in this configuration because it looks like a Samurai Edge Beretta this way. I have my Resident Evil grips on it to go along with the theme of my car, because we all know it's very important, like I said, to match your gun to your car. But I'm not driving the Challenger anymore. I trade my cars in pretty much every year and a half. So now I'm driving something different. In fact, I'm driving a Mini Cooper. Now, I know a lot of people out there right now like, oh, Mini Cooper, isn't that a girl's car, blah, blah, blah. I suggest you educate yourself to the history of the Mini Cooper. It's a fucking awesome car, especially the new 2021s, because they are screaming. They have like 301 to 305 horsepower, depending on which dyno test you look at, 330 plus foot-pounds of torque, just a screaming little car and a lot of fun to drive. It's basically a BMW with a different body on it. I didn't want to drive a BMW because I didn't want to be a douchebag. So this was kind of a loophole. But I didn't do this one in a Resident Evil theme. Just in case you thought a Mini Cooper couldn't get any gayer, I'll prove you wrong here by doing it in a Deadpool theme. So now my car is red and black in a Deadpool theme instead of that greenish zombie color with a Resident Evil theme. So I have to make some changes to my carry gun. And I'm not going to change the gun because I love this gun. So I contacted Lock Grips and got something to put on this gun. And what I got from Lock Grips was these Deadpool grips in G10. They have a red G10 liner, and then they have an actual inlay of the Deadpool symbol there, the Deadpool logo. These are not just like painted on or anything like that. These are an actual inlay, and they look awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on this gun. We'll see how they look and see if I've got my new carry gun to go with my new ride. All right, first thing we're going to need to do is get these grips off. These come off very easily. Got to make sure not to lose the screws. These grips are actually going to be transferred over to another Resident Evil project gun that I have going on right now. And remember, when you're changing grips, to always wipe down under them before you put the new ones on, because you don't want there to get dirt and grit and everything under here and cause damage to the frame, pitting, etc. Can't wait to finish that other gun I'm doing. I got to have the slide engraved, but then these will be ready to go on there. These Resident Evil grips are by Custom Design Works, by the way. They are awesome. This is something a lot of people don't think to do, but this is something you should do on your carry gun, even if you're not changing the grips. Every now and then when you clean it, take the grips off and wipe under it, because there's all kinds of goop collects under the grips. You'd be surprised. All right, let's get these ones on there. Now remember, the G10 doesn't really need the little rubber spacers like the wood does to keep it from splitting or cracking, but you still might want to use them just so that your grip screws come flush up with the grips. If you don't have that in there, you might have to crank them down a little bit to where they're a little too far in. All right, got it together and it's looking pretty awesome. But one more thing I do want to do here before I'm done is the other grips were wraparounds here at the bottom. They came down behind the actual mag plate here. These ones do not, so I'm going to put the Wilson Combat mag guide back on there that I took off to put the Resident Evil grips on. This is definitely not hard to change out. You just tap out the little pin, pull your little pudge out, take out the flat mainspring cap, and then just stick the Wilson Combat one back in its place, and then put the pin back in. And it's in there. Now, I really thought about trading out to a 12-pound hammer spring while I was doing this, but then I decided I'd leave the 13-pound one in there, you know, like God intended. And by God, I mean Ernst Langdon. So just left the 13-pounder in there. Now I have decided, since these grips are thinner, to go to some low profile grip screws. Luckily I have a bunch of grip screws laying around for Berettas because I love Berettas and I have so many of them, so I keep extra parts around. That's something I recommend to anyone. Little parts like screws, etc., keep extra around, because not only might you need to change them out for one reason or another, but you might lose some too. So always nice to have extras laying around so that you have options. Because if you put too long a screw in them and then you go to put your magazine in, you're going to be in for a nasty little surprise when it won't fit. Now, since these grips don't have the brass on them, and this gun has the silver trigger and the silver barrel, I'm going to go back to stainless grip screws. In this case, since the grips are all black and not wood, the stainless screw gives a little bit more of a interest to the grip rather than just all black. Now, one thing always to do when you're putting on new grips like this, make sure your magazine goes in freely. That's a little snug, so I'm going to put a little spacer under the screws to pull them out a little bit. Because if your screws are too tight or too long, your magazine won't go in properly. Or may not eject properly. It may go in fine, but then just may not eject right. All right, with a spacer on the bottom screws, goes in, comes out just fine. All right, it is all set to go. My carry gun now once again matches my car, so I am set, at least until I trade my car in again, or I just decide to change the theme of the car I have now. All right, now that I've shown you that, I want to move on and end the show as usual with our viewer EDC of the day. And today we have Vincent D. And I wanted to show Vincent today because he is carrying something very unique. I haven't seen anyone else carrying one of these yet. It is a Ruger Red Hawk in 45 long Colt and 45 AARP. This is a big revolver. This ain't a tiny revolver. This is a big, potent gun, and I love 45 long Colt, so I really approve of this choice. And he's got this decked out with some Altamont silverback grips, who I own several pairs of. I really like the Altamont grips. And he's carrying it in a simply rugged inside waistband holster. Now, a lot of people always ask me, what's a good inside waistband holster for this revolver or that revolver? Well, maybe this Simply Rugged might be an option. Since I don't carry inside waistband, I don't know, but this looks like what he's chosen, so maybe that'd be something to look into. Now, I know a lot of people think I make fun of everybody when they come on here for EDC pictures, and I like to rip people apart, but that's not true. That's only if there's something in their picture that to make fun of. And in this case, I don't see much anything to make fun of. I mean, sure, he's got a dog stuck halfway up his ass, it appears in this picture, but I mean, who hasn't sat on their dog accidentally every now and then? But other than that, good carry rig. So I wanted to show you here because Vincent D is our EDC of the day, our viewer EDC of the day. He is our concealed carrier, and he's carrying, like I said, a unique choice, a Ruger Red Hawk in 45 long Colt and 45 AARP. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back tomorrow. I'll be right here, same time, same place. Until then, I want to sign off as usual by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. But if we keep our heads about us, we ignore the fear-mongers and the profiteers and the people that just want to rile you up and make you afraid and angry so they can manipulate you easily. If we ignore those people and we work hard for the Second Amendment, what things will be in the very near future is better.